Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got a very urgent report to share with you guys today, specifically regarding the nursing home scandal that is now being overshrouded by Cuomo's sexual allegations, and it's being overshrouded on purpose because there's one question that the mainstream media, the Democratic Party, and yes, even the Republican Party doesn't want you to ask. Well, in today's report, I'm not only going to ask that question about the nursing home scandal, I'm going to address it, and I'm going to answer that. But what is the question? The question is this: why? Why did Governor Cuomo, Governor Whitmer, and the other Democrats allow COVID-19 patients back into the nursing home? That is the question that needs to be answered, and I'm going to answer it, but that everyone is ignoring. While it is important that people died and what happened in these nursing homes is absolutely critical, but it's just as critical to have the answers to why they did it. And that's at the very core of what I have to show you in today's report. But for starters, and as a reminder, please make sure you sign up on restrictedrepublic.com. Look, I can't stress enough. I honestly am not sure how long we're going to be on these alternative platforms, but right now, because of all the craziness that's going on, and this is a massive discount. I've never given it this high, but use the code LOCKDOWN and you'll get $29 off the entire first year. And right now, I've got content on there that you're not going to get anywhere else, that's exclusive to Restricted Republic, and all about the things, that you can't necessarily say elsewhere. So check it out right now on restrictedrepublic.com. All right. So what I want to do first is dive into what happened really briefly, because I know most of us are already well aware. But as you know, Governor Cuomo, Whitmer, and many other governors, as you're going to see, all sent COVID patients back into the nursing home. And then Cuomo has been not telling the truth about all his data and information. But here it is. New York data shows nursing home deaths undercut by the thousands. Now, the surprise development after months of the state refusing to divulge the true numbers showed that at least 12,743 long-term care residents died of the virus as of January 19th, which is far greater than the official tally of 8,505 on that day, commenting New York's toll as one of the highest in the nation, or cementing it, as one of the highest in the nation. So basically, he hid that information. He didn't tell the truth or wasn't forthcoming about the numbers. And the 12,000 number, I believe, has gotten even higher. Now, if you've not read about the scandal, I'm just going to throw this in. I'll leave it in the description box below. This is Fox News, Governor Cuomo, COVID nursing home scandal. 5 things that you need to know. Great article by Fox News. But the one I want to hone in on is the Cuomo administration March 25th directive barred nursing homes from refusing people just because they had COVID-19. Now, here's a reason that Cuomo and others gave as to why they had to send COVID-19 patients back into their nursing home. This is his reasoning, right? And it's going to come into play later, but it's this. It was intended to free up space in hospitals swamped in the earlier days of the pandemic. It came under criticism from nursing home residents and their relatives who said it had a potential to spread the virus. But bottom line, he said, I'm going to send COVID-19 back to the nursing homes because we need to free up space in the hospitals. Okay, so remember that little fact. I'll bring it up later. But now, once Cuomo implemented that in his state, other states followed, and now they're all being looked at and investigated. Thank God, and that's for the sake of people in the nursing homes. But here we have Fox News reporter Charlie LaDeff to sue Governor Whitmer over nursing home COVID data that she also didn't want to share with the public, but she wasn't the only one. NorthJersey.com, New York Republicans target Phil Murphy, and early COVID policies in hearing on nursing home. Also, the Pennsylvania lawmakers plan to investigate Governor Wolf oversight of nursing homes during COVID-19. And as a reminder, also, the governor of Minnesota, 81% of Minnesota COVID-19 deaths are still from nursing homes, right? And this is Governor Tim Walz. So we have Walz, we have Wolf here, we have Phil Murphy, we have Whitmer, and we have Cuomo, all of them involved in this little nursing home scandal in their state. They all need to be investigated and the numbers need to come out. But it wasn't only nursing homes, as we're finding out. There's also very recently, this article just published March 9th, the Washington Examiner here, and it's Andrew Cuomo has been blasted for deadly decision to force COVID patients into also group homes for the disabled. And here is the actual Office of People with Development Disabilities published April 10. And I've highlighted the section. You can read it yourself, where they allowed asymptomatic residents with COVID back into these centers, right? People with development disabilities. And of course, they couldn't be denied admission, just like at the nursing homes. The nursing homes couldn't be, they couldn't deny somebody coming back into the nursing home with COVID-19. It just is a recipe for disaster. Who in their right mind would do that? But the question therein lies. While it is very important what happened, and my heart and prayers have been to all those families, it's also important that we know why Cuomo and the Democrats did it, right? And that's what I want to hone in on, and that's what I'm going to answer in this next article, because here's the thing. We could say, oh, they're depopulation agents, they just wanted to kill people, or maybe there's a little more to it. And that's what I'm going to focus on. So this next article here answers that question. And this is on thefederalist.com. It's probably one of the most important articles that he has put out, and it really needs to get a lot of attention. But he addresses this very question. The real COVID nursing home scandal is why Cuomo and the other Democrats did it. That's the scandal. And he goes on, what's worse than using political and legal authority to cause the agonizing deaths of a large number of elderly? Doing that as a cynical favor to moneyed corporate donors. Money, 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 money. That's what was involved, right? The article goes on. The big scandal isn't that Cuomo is a creep, because remember, they're using the distraction about his sex allegations and sexual harassment allegations or whatever. And I don't even keep up with it because that's not as important as this story, right? They're using that as a distraction. Please know that. But because everyone, and look, it's creepy and sick and gross. It shouldn't be happening, period. I'm against all of that. I don't want sex allegations from anyone, and he needs to answer for that too. But it's still a distraction because this is an even bigger story and more important. But the big scandal isn't Cuomo being a creep, because everybody already knows he's a freaking creep and he sexually harasses women. The scandal isn't even that he lied about the nursing home deaths. The real scandal, this is critical, is that what lay behind the high nursing home deaths in New York and a handful of other states led by leftist governors such as Michigan's Whitmer, Minnesota's Waltz, Pennsylvania's Wolf. It is the story of how grandma and grandpa got tossed aside for money. Now let's get into what is he talking about here? What money, right? Well, the slated reason for the policy was concern about hospital capacity, right? So again, this is the reason that Cuomo gave, what I referenced earlier. Cuomo said, I'm putting COVID patients back into the nursing homes because we don't have room in the hospital, okay? But this article expands. But these states kept the policy even well after the hospitals peaked in April. That means that even when the hospitals weren't packed anymore, they still sent COVID patients back to the nursing home. Key point there, but it goes on. In states like Minnesota, the policy remained in place even though the healthcare system never faced the strain that was initially feared. What you don't hear is hospitals don't want to keep Medicare and Medicaid patients, especially the Medicaid patients, which tends to be our elderly nursing home facilities, and they don't want to keep them in hospitals for too long because the longer stays with such patients are less profitable for the nursing home. Uh-oh, they don't make as much money if it's Medicaid and Medicare patients. Wait, what? That's not the only scandal you're going to hear about in the moment, but that's a piece of it. We don't get paid enough to leave them here, so this is why I'm against government-run healthcare, because it's crap. right? That should prove it right there. But let's go on a little bit. In Cuomo's New York, okay, for example, at the height of the pandemic on March 25th, the state health department compelled nursing homes to accept patients who tested positive for COVID. The policy was pushed by the nonprofit hospital association, the Greater New York Hospital Association, GNYHA, okay? That's the abbreviation. New York had recently cut Medicaid funding due to budget issues. And given Medicaid is already chronically underfunded, it is possible that hospitals were losing money, or at best, barely breaking even, or poor and indigent COVID-19 patients. Okay, barely breaking even, if anything. Later, Cuomo aides inserted a measure into an annual budget bills, creating the nation's most generous and explicit COVID-19 lawsuit protections for healthcare and industry officials. One study claims that COVID-19 deaths were 7.5 times higher in states with such legal immunity. 7.5 times higher because of such immunity. See, I know your balls are rolling there. I know we're thinking here. The GNYHA is one of the most influential forces in New York politics. Cuomo received $1 million from this organization in his re-election campaign. And the donation was engineered to remain a secret. Until after he was inaugurated. Overall, during Cuomo's second term, his campaign and his state party committed rank more than $2.3 million from hospital donors. Big lobby, hospital lobby, health lobby. Did they lobby Cuomo for this? So the elderly New Yorkers were sacrificed for profit. So, did money have anything to do with it? You know, your lobbyists, your big donors that came and gave you all this moolah to Cuomo. Is that why he did it? Because why else would anybody in their right, ever-loving mind send COVID back to nursing home facilities? That's the question. That's the real question. Bottom line, swampy, far-left Democrat governors are tied to the all-powerful health care lobby. They're tied to the health care lobby. And why won't Republicans talk about this? You see, that's the other side. That's the other thing. Why are Republicans being quiet and not answering this question? Oh, I know. Because they're tied in bed with lobbyists too. They're all with lobbyists. So that's why the mainstream media, the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party are all remaining silent. And by the way, that's why they want people like me off the air. This is why I'm telling you, you got to listen. Get on over to restrictedrepublic.com, because this is the kind of information that I'm going to tell you about, and I'm not going to be quiet about. And I'm going to continue to share with you. I mean, somebody has to actually start asking the questions about these lobbyists. And this is what we do on restrictedrepublic.com. But I digress, right? These questions ignored by both the Republicans and the Democrats. Maybe this is why Cuomo won't answer questions. Here we are, foxnews.com, published 22 hours ago. Cuomo cites COVID restrictions in preventing reporters from asking questions about the scandal. And thankfully, we have New York here. Republicans finally did introduce articles of impeachment against Cuomo, right? But they really need to go above and beyond and further on all of that with all the governors, the entire scandals. But here's the thing. Isn't it coincidental, too, that right now, all you're hearing about is Andrew Cuomo's sexual harassment allegations? Woman, another woman, another woman, another woman, another woman. Why? Because all the other Democrats involved and people who are involved with all these massive lobbyist things and big money don't want you asking the real questions. They want you distracted by the harassment scandals, which are important too. But they're really not focusing on the real issue, and that is the far-left Democrats governors who are massively tied to all-powerful healthcare lobbyists. Ta-da. Answer solved. or at least it needs to be investigated and looked into or questioned. Nonetheless, that's my op-ed opinion. I don't know. Anyhow, with that, please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. Right now, they are giving away this Carson City uncirculated silver dollar with any approved IRA or 401k. And you can check that out now at noblegoldinvestments.com. I personally use them because I trust them, and they have never, ever led me astray in anything. But you really want to make sure that you have your investments diversified in different areas, and that's what Noble Gold Investments can offer as well. So check it out, give them a call, and let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.